I'm still fielding voice notes from my friends, so this is going to be disorganized. I just I just had a moment of self-realization. So I am typified. My personality is very much typified by pathological demand avoidance. Very much. My decision-making apparatus are typified by pathological demand avoidance. And so what that means is I really don't react well to being told what to do. And so my whole life I used to say that I just never really loved the winter holidays starting Thanksgiving and moving on because everybody's telling me to have a good time and be happy. And I'm like, but it's cold and I'm uncomfortable. And the before I knew that I had pathological demand avoidance, before I knew that I have pathological demand avoidance, um, I would always say there's this demand to be in a good mood during the winter that really fucks me up. And people used to always treat me like I was so selfish for that. But I was just watching an NFL football game, and they played a Christmas song, and he was talking in the song. It's one of the old songs. He's advocating for why Christmas is the best time of the year, why it's great, and why we should be celebrating Christmas and celebrating the winter time period, because something that I don't think a lot of people understand is that, like, the Christmas song like this one, or like Jingle Bells, or these songs, actually they've always begun playing around Thanksgiving because they were originally composed to celebrate Thanksgiving. So songs like Jingle Bell Rock, that was for Thanksgiving. Uh, Jingle All the Way, Thanksgiving. Um, it's Cold Outside, Thanksgiving. These weren't just Christmas songs. We associate them with Christmas because my generation is really fucking dumb. And so we just lump all of the things that we inherited into a lump of into lump categories. Our parents are like, "Oh, that's the Christmas music," and we just took it that way, right? Because you don't teach a child the difference between Thanksgiving music and Christmas music when it all starts playing on Thanksgiving. And I don't know, but that would make a lot of sense if it were Mayra, because after I finished my live show, my live stream the other night, I manifested flu symptoms almost immediately. I woke up the next morning, early the next morning, puking, like projectile vomiting, which is that's a symptom. My girlfriend doesn't want to hear it, but that's a symptom of uh, extra human possession, basically. The spirit was moving through me, and when that happens, it it has an effect on the body. An effect on the body that has been like the flu. It's been described like the flu since at least William James. It manifests as extreme cognitive stress, but it would be extremely stressful on your brain and body to have a god inside you. We didn't evolve to do that. But that is poetry, and that is philaletea. That is what I do. So if today were one of the solstices, that would explain why I just feel normal again. Now that enough time has passed, I feel normal again. I feel just fine. I'm getting up and going into public, aren't I? I gotta eat again. This is just what happens to people like me. It used to happen a lot it used to be described a lot in stories because people like me tended to have folklore happen around us, basically. So I've been I've been prepared for it to start happening to me because I've been putting myself in the positions that it happened to those people and those stories for a very long time now, for many decades. I did it for the story. The story. Anyway, um, what I was saying is I was listening to this song, and I like to reevaluate. I like to take the opportunity to reevaluate everything that I'm evaluating all the time. I it's a coaching behavior. It's a behavior that NFL head coaches have. So obviously, I picked it up from intensely watching and listening to head coaches during my formative years. But I like to take the opportunity to reevaluate my evaluations, and so now that I know that I have pathological demand avoidance, and this guy is talking about, he's advocating for why the winter season is the best season, and he says that everyone is always telling you to be of good cheer. And I heard that, and I had an instantly split and dual reaction. I went, "Don't you fucking tell me to be of good cheer," and then I went, "Oh right, because everybody else is in a bad mood too." And so the reminder, "Hey, be of good cheer. The winter's almost over," that makes sense. That makes sense. And so it's just my generation being generally hard to get along with that doesn't understand things like that. Like my generation that wants to lean into their bitching about their seasonal affective disorder. We're like, I have a real phenomenon, and it's like, yeah, okay. But before we had these highly psychologized um before we had this highly psychologized culture, even when the culture was highly psychologizing at the top, even the psychologists were saying that you still want to be of good cheer, even if you don't feel like it. You still want to act like you're in a good mood. You still want to pretend. You still want to pretend toward a good mood. You want a tendency toward a good mood. You want to pretend like you're happy to be here. Because at some point, you're not being happy to be here, and you're being a drag to be around actually does drag everybody else down. And if you think about if you think about how closely pre 1990 civilization lived together, um, it does become a duty to the people around you not to be a fucking drag on their time, on their attention, on their emotions. It does become important. So that's all. I found that remarkable, that I'd never noticed that before. That could be a positive thing. Yeah, before social media. Yeah, everybody reminding you, be of good cheer, have a good mood, be in a good mood. Because in the summer, people aren't reminding one another, right? People aren't keyed in the summer. Yeah, it's the most wonderful time of the year. When's a doo boo da boo dee boo da boo da dee boo doo. And that's that. That's what I got to say about that. It's easier to be in and remain in and maintain a good mood when the people around you are doing the same. But because we live so privately now, we've come to the conclusion that we don't have to be responsible for anybody else's mood. But really all we're doing is being shitty to be around. Just impossible. And then calling other people narcissists. And calling out other people's attention seeking. Just no self-awareness whatsoever. Because somebody's always worse than us. But see, that's the difference. I don't know how you came to that conclusion that somebody's always worse than us. But maybe it was because you didn't have my father. Maybe it was because you weren't as well loved as you think you were as a child. My dad used to say, there's always somebody out there who's bigger, stronger, better looking, better hung, smarter, has better parents, more money. There's always somebody better. If you want to compete, you have to be special. Not because you're the biggest, not because you're the strongest, not because you're the smartest, not because you're the fastest, not because you're the best looking, not because you got the biggest dick. You have to compete special. Something about you is unique. Truly unique. Thank you, Agrigold. See, I notice we are caught as a civilization and as a species in a series of regressive cycles. It's hard not to notice. Like I'm watching Charles Berteld today. Bertude? I think it's actually Bertude. I'm watching Charles Bertude, the bass prodigy today. He's got this video with, I'm assuming it's with his teacher. He's got this video with a gray beard playing a fretless bass. And Charles has never sounded worse to me. It's amazing how bad, actually, the student sounds when they play directly with the teacher and the teacher is playing their best. It's remarkable. And so what that means is everything is a regressive cycle from teacher to student. Any greatness that I have, any insight that I may or may not have that I'm able to teach you is instantly lessened and cheapened by your teaching it to someone else. This is where, frankly, this is where Mystery Cult came from. Pythagoras knew that teaching you, telling you, fuck, that's bad. I didn't mean for that to happen. Pythagoras knew that telling you what he knew would just lead to you telling other people, and then his unique genius would be forgotten. Moreover, all that time and energy that he spent to come to his genius would be wasted. He wouldn't be able to eat on that for the rest of his life. I don't think that's true, Egregore. I don't think that's true at all. People love Metallica today because Metallica were good live. People love Pearl Jam today because they're good live. People loved Tool and would have died for Tool before COVID because Tool were good live, because Tool had the merit of putting on a damn good show and always doing their best. I don't think that it makes sense to say that in a meritocracy everything is top down, because that doesn't make sense. In a true meritocracy, for example, in a corporate setting, the corporate overlords can't know who's doing the job well unless they surveil at all times, and that is invasive and leads to people not doing the job properly. Or they can send surveys out to their customers, and they can attach those surveys to the name or number of their employees, and then they can know who's doing the job well and whom to promote, whom to invest in, whom to send to training, whom to give raises to, whom to invest in by who's actually doing the job well. So I don't think that relies on the top up or the top down at all. I'm pretty sure that's a bottom up meritocracy. Sounds adjacent to intellectual property rights. Well, intellectual property rights are exactly what I'm talking about, Mayrov. This is why Russia and communism broadly deny that one can have property rights on an intellectual space. Because nobody has ever proven that they've had a thought for the first time. No one has ever had a novel thought. And if you've never had a novel thought, then you can't be the only person allowed to think your thought. This is why intellectual property doesn't make sense. Because all usage is promotion. And so if I play a song on here and there's any intent whatsoever behind my choosing the song, then I'm promoting that song. Just like how Metallica got a major bump from Stranger Things, any band gets a bump from anywhere their music is heard. And the reason we do copyright the way we do is so they can track where the music is heard. They can control where the music is heard, so they can control for artificial spaces. But the home isn't really an artificial space. The home is a natural space. This is why they lost. This is why they continue to lose when it comes to piracy. Well, they'll never get that under control. Because they want to control too many. They want to control where the product is seen, by whom, and how. really just not how art actually moves within any kind of cultural space. Like, word of mouth is the most important thing. And so when tape sharing and mixtapes, radio rips were still encouraged because the musicians themselves were becoming musicians through that trade, the music was better. I don't like Pantera's music. I don't like Pantera's music, but that Pantera was a force to be reckoned with in the music industry is undeniable. And they did it. They did it by being good at their shows. It took them a really long time to get a major record deal. And then when they got their major record deal, they were selling out number one top in the chart albums because they had a dedicated fan base that wanted to let them know that they were beloved. So day of release sold like gangbusters, and then word of mouth release petered pretty quickly. But that's what you want. That's what you want. This is why movies, for example, only count the first weekend, right? In the theater. It's because day of sales are the only sales that really matter. Those demonstrate how hungry the market was for your product. This is why when companies go public on the stock market, their day one numbers are the numbers that matter the most. You can't lose money immediately. If you lose money immediately, the market didn't want your product. If the market didn't want your product, you either didn't do enough word of mouth advertising, or there's no niche for your product in the market. I don't know. We define our own success. If you're trying to succeed in a corporate environment, you're already wasting your time. You don't hire CEOs from within. Hey, OPM, what's up? You don't get promoted to ownership. That's silly. So we define our own success. Success is a metric we define. I found every day that I worked for a corporation successful because I did my job and then some. Yeah, warm enough, OPM. Success or failure come at the end of a mission. You have to be on a mission to succeed or fail. So you define your own. You define your own unless that mission, the parameters of success or failure are given to you by other people. And plenty of people are given parameters by their president or by their parents, their grandparents. I wasn't. But the outside parameter of success fail in a corporate environment is whether you like the carrot they're dangling in front of your face or not. You're just a cog one way or the other until you're the owner yourself. You're just working for somebody else. No, that's not how that works, Kingfisher. That's not how that works. You don't get promoted to king. Owner is a structure outside the promotionary tree. Kings are coronated, inheritors are inheritors. Typically, you're groomed. No, that's not at all how that works, Kingfisher. Doesn't work that way at all. Typically, you're groomed for ownership. You're not groomed for promotion. Inheritance is not a promotion. You are not suddenly promoted to the position of owner. Owner is not a position. Owner is a duty. Owner is a fact. Owner is a deed and a title. Oh, you're silly, Kingfisher. You think that kings were promoted to their positions. And you're dumb. You don't know anything about anything. And you're going to try to argue with me 5 or 6 characters at a time. Go fuck yourself. I don't know who the fuck you think you are. What's up, T-Rex? Maybe, but there's no universal definition of what a sellout is. My day's fine. I'm hurting and I'm warm. The day's fine. Which one was that, T-Rex? I don't remember. Are you talking about the radical empathetic position, maybe? I don't remember. I'm glad you liked it. Thank you. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Thank you. I want to get something to eat and get out of the cold air. Hopefully I can do it before I puke again. That would be really nice. I'm glad you enjoyed that, T-Rex. Thanks for letting me know, buddy. Ugh. Boom. And I think you're allowed to plug my work on my channel. I think that's okay. Unless what you were saying was to the chat that you're not trying to sell memberships. You were just letting me know because you were thinking about it. I think you're allowed to do either of those things. Whew. I would like to be able to believe that my memberships sell themselves. Okay. Thank you, T-Rex. I appreciate that, buddy. It's the weirdest sensation in the world to be. Hypothermic. Sweating so bad. Yeah, for sure. Thanks, T-Rex. I do appreciate that, man. To be super damn warm, sweaty, and then have a totally numb hand. Yeah, I try to cultivate good conversation for sure, T-Rex. For sure. Okay, so I haven't eaten in a couple of days, so I'm gonna go get a bowl of soup, some bread, and maybe a sandwich, but probably not. Yeah, they're transition lenses, yeah. Yeah. I'm really, really photosensitive, and so if they weren't being outside during the day would just leave me with the worst kinds of migraines. Transition lenses are one of the best things I ever invested in. Yeah. These are old. They also have the blue light. They used to have blue light protection on them, and they, as you can see, they don't get as dark as they used to. They used to get sunglasses dark. Um, they're old, and I sat out in the summer in them the last 2 years. Well, last summer I spent last summer sitting out under that patio. And then, but yeah, I gotta get something to eat. I gotta get something to drink, and I probably gotta vacate my bowels and vomit again one more time. I'm gonna try not to vomit because that means I gotta get out of here too if I'm puking. But anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I didn't have a lot to say, and I said it in the early part. So thank you for being here, and thank you for rewatching if you missed the early part. Be well. I'm trying to. You'll hear, hey, Richie, I was just leaving. I walked over to Panera, and then now I'm gonna. Thank you, Mayrov. Probably. You were supposed to be asleep, so I just went live while I was walking over here and getting dressed. And now I'm gonna get something to eat. And hopefully my hand stops hurting eventually. Alright, thank you guys very much for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me. And yeah, if you need to continue socializing, there's the Discord, and Lenny and Chris both were on there talking this morning about Star Trek stuff. So it just over my brain. but go say hey to him. Have a good day, guys.